Okay, everybody, I am re-recording a video lecture clip for you. If you're watching this summer 2013, I'm going to redo the one on the anatomical regions, and so this will be our third anatomy video clip for Unit 1, and there is quite a bit of body regional terminology. Some of these are going to be terms that you're already familiar with, or they'll be easy to learn because they're words or based on word roots you already know, and some of them will be new and maybe a little bit surprising to you. A lot of this information you could probably just study it off of the diagram in your textbook if you would like, but it may help you to actually hear some of these things pronounced. All right, so when we're thinking about the body is actually divided into two major divisions, and this terminology will come up, especially again when we cover the skeletal system in Unit 3. But if you think about the body, the two major divisions of the body are axial and appendicular, and axial refers to axis, appendicular refers to appendages. All right, so you guys know what your appendages are, your arms and your legs. So those constitute the appendicular division of the body. All right, and then axis, like if you think about the axis of the Earth rotates on its axis. That's like an imaginary line that runs through the center of the Earth. Earth rotates around it. Well, the human body also, you can imagine it having an imaginary axis running right down the center. And you rotate about that imaginary axis as well, up here in your shoulders and down at your hips, around your neck and so forth. So the axial part of the body then is the section there in the center on which your appendages are attached. So it's going to include your head, your neck, and then the trunk of the body. So that's not too hard. And again, we'll mainly revisit that terminology when we get into Unit 3 and we're studying the skeletal system. Okay, then there are a whole bunch of body region terms that do come up pretty frequently in anatomy and physiology. You will use many of these terms, if not all of them, again, as you move forward in your health sciences classes. And so these are some things you want to commit to memory. And again, many of them are going to already be familiar to you, but some of them are going to be new. All right, so this is a ventral view of the body, or anterior view of the body. And remember from our directional terms, ventral, front part of the body, dorsal, back side of the body, and often you can substitute anterior and posterior for those two terms as well. So here on the ventral side, all right, there is a broader term, cephalic, which refers to the head. The whole head region can be called the cephalic region. And then your cephalic region can be divided up into little subregions, more specific portions of the head. So you have the frontal region, that's your forehead. The orbital regions, now that might be a new word for you. The orbits are the cavities in your skull in which your eyeballs are plopped. So the region around the eyes can be called the orbital region. Region around the nose is your nasal region. That's probably not too surprising. Oral region around the mouth. This one may be new to you, mental region. Now, if you're not careful and you see mental region, well, of course you're going to think the brain, the head, first, but actually the mental region refers to the chin, and it's believed that comes from, if you've seen the statues of like the thinker with his hand on his chin, it's thought that maybe that's where the term mental came from, with referring to the chin. So that might be a new one for you. Let me see, my pen has cut off here. All right, looks like I'm back. Okay, all right, now this one, let me erase those. This one might be a new one for you, cervical region. That does not refer to the cervix, which is a portion of the female's uterus. Cervical actually refers to the neck. Maybe you've heard of somebody before who's having a problem with cervical vertebrae. So cervical, these terms don't necessarily have to refer to just the ventral side of the body. They can also refer to the back side as well. Thoracic, as you already know, is up here, the upper part of the trunk above the diaphragm. Some subregions within the thoracic broader region. You have the axillary region, mammary, and sternal. So axillary actually refers to your armpits over here. Mammary is the area around the breasts or area around the nipples. Sternal, sternum, breastplate, there in the center, around your mediastinum, which would be deep to that area. All right, let me erase those. Okay, and then we move down in here. This area would be called your abdominal region, and more specifically, the area right around your belly button, navel, can be called the umbilical region because that's where your umbilical cord was attached before you were born. The pelvic region, if you think about the bowl shape of your pelvic bones, so everything that's sitting down within that bowl is included in the pelvic region. Inguinal, more specifically, refers to the groin, so down deep in the pelvis. Pubic, of course, refers to the genitals. That's probably not too surprising to anybody. And then let's check out over here on the other side. This one may be new to you, some terms associated with the upper arm. Acromial refers to the shoulder area. Brachial refers to the upper arm. Antecubital, this is probably a new one for you. That, if you think about your elbow, the front side, anterior side of the elbow, that is the antecubital region. The cubital region is actually the posterior side. What you think of as your elbow can also be called the cubital region back there. So anterior to the cubital region. That's where that terminology comes from. Antebrachial is a term for forearm. Carpal, right in here, refers to the wrist. And so you've probably heard of somebody before with carpal tunnel syndrome who's having problems with inflammation of tendons in that area. Sometimes that occurs due to excessive use of keyboards. The manus or manus is another term for the hand. That might be new, but think about like manual, do something manually with your hands. That's where that came from. Palmar refers to the palm. Pollex, that's probably a new one for you, that's the thumb. And then digital is a term that can refer to the fingers. Digital can also refer, if you look down here at the bottom, to the toes. And there is an unusual term for the big toe, just like you have pollex for the thumb. If you look down here, hallux is your big toe. All right, how about down here, our lower limbs, our legs? Let me erase all of that. Coxal is a term that refers to the hips, so right over in here and right over in here. And you'll see that again when we do the skeletal system, because the name, the actual scientific name for your pelvic bone on each side is the os coxa on each side, so you will see that again. Femoral refers to the thigh. Maybe you've heard of the femoral artery before. Patellar, the front side of the knee. Maybe you've heard of somebody who has patellar tendinitis because they've got an inflamed, painful tendon there on the front side of the knee. Your knee bone is also called the patella. Crural is a broad term that refers to the leg. It seems to mainly be used in reference to the lower leg. I'm going to erase those. Fibular or peroneal. You may hear both of those used. That is, so you have two bones in the lower leg. The larger one is called the tibia, and then you have one over on the lateral side, over here, and that is called the fibula. So the region on the lateral sides of your lower legs can be called the fibular region or the peroneal region. Peroneal is an older term, but it is sometimes used because you have arteries and nerves that run in that area, and so you do have a fibular artery and a fibular vein over on that, on the lateral side of each of your legs. All right, then finally, pedal or pedal, like maybe you've heard of humans referred to as bipedal because we walk on two limbs instead of four. That refers to the foot. Tarsal, so like carpal refers to your wrist, tarsal refers to the ankles. Metatarsal refers to the main part of the foot on the superior side, the top part of the foot. And then we've already discussed that digital can be used to refer to your toes, and hallux is a term that refers to your big toe. All right. Okay, sorry about my little pause there. I wasn't sure whether I was still recording or not. I lost my little timing indicator. All right, now over on the back side, so this is now a dorsal view of the body. This diagram, which is also in your textbook, is just showing you the locations of many of those same regions from a posterior or dorsal view. But let me see. So I'm just going to cover the newer ones on here that we haven't talked about already rather than repeating things. Olecramal, that's a term we did not use before. Having trouble with my pen here. What's happening is the Wi-Fi drops out every once in a while, and I need Wi-Fi to be able to draw on the slides. And so I'm just going to forget drawing on the slides for now. All right, so olecramal, this term here, refers to the elbow. I also told you that cubital can refer to the elbow. So, you know, some of these things have two different terms that refer to them. Metacarpal is this region on the, now this is on the posterior side if you're thinking about a subject in anatomical position, but right in here, like on the other side from your palm, that's metacarpal. The bones in there are called the metacarpal bone, so you will see that again. The popliteal or popliteal region, backside of the knee. Sural refers to the calf. Calcaneal refers to the heel. And plantar refers to the sole of the foot. Maybe you've heard of somebody before who has plantar or plantar fasciitis. You have inflammation of some of the tissues on the sole of the foot, which can be very painful, pretty common in runners. Let's see, otic region refers to the area around the ear. Occipital, the lower back portion of the head, one of your skull bones located back here on the dorsal side of the dorsal inferior portion of the skull is called the occipital bone, so we'll be hearing that one again. The whole back area in here can be referred to as the dorsal region of the body. Scapular, your shoulder blades are actually called, each one is a scapula, plural would be scapulae. So the area around your shoulder blades can be called the scapular region. Vertebral, running up and down along your spinal column. Lumbar, lower back. Sacral refers to the area down in here, like around what you would call your tailbone, at the inferior end of your spinal column. Gluteal, you've probably heard of gluteus maximus before, referring to the muscles in your rear end, and so that the area around your rear end is called the gluteal region. And then the area between the anus, the anal opening, and your external genitals is referred to the perineal region. Okay, so I'm going to stop this particular video clip here. Originally this was just one video clip. I'm going to have to split it into two because I have a 15-minute time limit with this particular recording service. So I'll discuss the rest of this topic on a separate video clip.